Welcome back to Animated Times. Joe Todd with you. Today we're going to talk about the real reason Joaquin Phoenix's Joker dances so much. There are many reasons why Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is different than any previous interpretation of the legendary DC Comics villain. But one aspect is the way in which he moves, or more specifically, the way he dances. Obviously, this isn't the first big screen version of the character to show off some steps, as Jack Nicholson's take from 1989 was memorably a big Prince fan. But what we see in director Todd Phillips' new movie is very different than what was portrayed before. Without getting too deep into details, Joker, aka Arthur Fleck, is a guy who dances as a method of outward expression of his thoughts and feelings, which is significant given that he bottles so much of himself up when out in regular society. When he has the chance to really be himself, which is something that usually happens in his solitude, his energy comes out in the form of deliberate steps and flowing arms. It's a fantastic mix of elegance and creepy, and Todd Phillips recently explained how it came to be a part of the character. Now, one of the earliest things Joaquin Phoenix and I spoke about was that Arthur had music in him, like it just existed in him. Some people that you might know personally have that feeling, and I always thought about Arthur, but it was sort of kept in and trapped. And there was something about that evolving. Now, last month, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix reunited for a special post-screening Q&A session, following an early screening of Joker in Los Angeles. And one of the first subjects that was covered in the conversation was the way in which the titular character expresses himself through dance. It's an element of Arthur Fleck that develops slowly over the course of the story in the film, and it became a part of who he is because of the talks of the filmmaker and the actor had about the performance in the lead up to the production. That being said, not all the boogieing featured in Joker was actually a part of the script, and there is legitimately a lot of it over the course of the film. According to Phillips, there were some sequences where it was definitely in his prearranged plans, such as in the costume moves the eponymous villain performs on the stairs captured in the image at the top of this article. But initially, the idea was to keep the dancing limited to just a pair of scenes, the other being a bit of sign spinning that is performed in the first act. But that changed as the filming continued, said the director. The only dancing in the script was the dancing, obviously, as a clown in the beginning, which isn't really much of a dance, it's a performance. But the dancing on the stairs was there. Other than that, we didn't do it. But when we started talking about Arthur, we started talking about music and having music in him and that kind of thing. It's really when Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck starts to tune into his internal music that he starts to travel down the road, transforming into one of the most iconic villains in pop culture history. There is one particular incident that happens to set him down this path, and while dancing was featured in the script, Phoenix apparently doing a bit of improv on set led to the characters physically being defined in a very special way, said Phillips. The scene in the bathroom where he starts dancing, and that's not in the script. That's not a thing. That's something that kind of evolved, like, oh, this is a moment where we can show that it's kind of fighting to get out. But I love the dancing in the movie. I think we should have more of it. From that point forward, you'll notice watching the movie that Arthur primarily dances whenever he is feeling most comfortable in his own skin. At first, this is mostly a private thing as he moves his hips in the living room or swings around his long hair in the mirror. But it's when this part of his persona becomes more public that things get, well, really, really scary. So there you have it. That's the installment today of Animated Times. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and remember to subscribe by hitting the button under the video. And again, we hope to see you again on Animated Times.